What if a child star begged the entire world for help? On camera, publicly, repeatedly. And the industry's answer was to keep streaming the footage. What if the signs were never hidden, never buried, just deliberately looked past? That is the nerve 50 Cent has chosen to press. And once you understand what this documentary is actually saying, looking at this industry the same way becomes nearly impossible. Before anyone writes this off as a celebrity beef gone too far, let's be clear. 50 Cent has never really framed this as a beef. What he reportedly describes is something more specific. A discomfort rooted in early interactions with Sean Combs that he says felt less like peer recognition and more like something he wasn't interested in. Not proven, not adjudicated, but on the record in his own words. And that recontextualizes everything. This documentary isn't a revenge project dressed up as journalism. It is a pattern recognition exercise built around the one thing this industry has always relied on to protect itself: silence.
You really hate Sean Combs.
Why would they be thinking that?
Because of the things that you post on Instagram,
Yeah,
because of the...
Look at this. And let's stop for a second and do say that I hated him enough to hire his kids. And we've never done anything to each other. So it's just competitive energy and things that you say about other artists while you're in
I go on my Twitter and I see people saying, you look like you have AIDS, you should go die. I don't understand how I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they turn on me.
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old, because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be taken.
The name at the center of everything is Aaron Carter. He released his self-titled debut album at 9 years old. 9. Performing in arenas, topping charts before most kids his age finished 4th grade. For a while, it genuinely looked like he had everything. But looking back through the lens this documentary forces onto the story, the question isn't why Aaron's life ended the way it did. The question is why, given everything that was visible and publicly documented, nobody with actual power did anything meaningful to stop it. Here's what makes Aaron's background land harder than people realize. His brother, Nick Carter, was discovered singing in the family backyard. That spontaneous moment launched him directly into the Backstreet Boys. Aaron watched it with the intensity only younger siblings understand, and at 7 years old decided he wanted exactly that. By 9, he was working at a fully adult professional level, while behind closed doors, his home life was described by those close to the family as chaotic. No real boundaries, a divorce already unraveling, and on the other side of all that, an industry with no meaningful infrastructure to protect the child at the center of it. His twin sister, speaking publicly about their childhood for what she says is the first time, describes those years with both genuine warmth and unmistakable grief.
Aaron Carter begged for help in front of the world. He begged for financial support to help get him a private security team to keep him alive. He said on numerous occasions, if anything happens to me, I promise you, I am not titled. And no one said anything.
Developing news tonight. Pop star Aaron Carter.
They go to something like it.
The 34-year-old was found dead.
Has died at the age of 34.
Authorities say he was found in his bathtub.
He had been grappling with substance abuse for years.
I mean, this is my first podcast interview ever.
What?
I was Aaron's twin. We have our own bond. I'm just at a place now where I want to tell our truth, change the narrative for my family. We were just such like playful kids. There was the 5 of us. There was a lot of love. Nick, he was discovered by my mom in the backyard. Oh my gosh, like he can sing. That's how he joined the Backstreet Boys. Aaron really idolized Nick. He wanted to be exactly like him. At age 7, he started singing. Working like an adult, innocence stripped away from him. Things were really chaotic at home. No boundaries. Divorce was like brewing. And then
there's the allegation, and it must be said clearly, this is an allegation reported by sources cited in the film, not confirmed in any court, that Aaron Carter allegedly first encountered Sean Combs when he was 9 years old. The documentary places that alleged timeline deliberately beside something far more concrete, the reported 25 civil lawsuits alleging inappropriate conduct involving younger individuals. That figure is tied to real legal filings, and when you set it alongside Combs' confirmed criminal conviction on 2 prostitution-related offenses, the picture that emerges is one no amount of industry loyalty can fully contain. Let's be precise about what the criminal trial actually established, because precision matters here. Combs was found guilty on 2 prostitution-related charges, confirmed. He was found not guilty of the racketeering and sex trafficking charges, also confirmed. 2 jurors have since spoken publicly, reportedly for the first time, about how they reached that mixed verdict. One described Combs and singer Cassie as 2 people who were in love. Another noted that domestic violence was not technically among the charges being weighed. The documentary uses those statements to raise a harder question. Whose credibility in that courtroom was quietly given more weight, and why?
And losing him, and then yet earlier you acknowledged that your father had put a to your head and fired it.
Sean Diddy Combs has been swimming in both criminal and civil law.
What? Wow. Talking about a transition.
Ever since he got indicted, and the storm doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. Recently, another wave of accusations has just been leveled at him, this time a staggering 25 lawsuits alleging inappropriate relationships with younger individuals. And while the whispers about his past connections with Justin Bieber and Usher during their early careers have been making rounds in the past months, a new shocking name has entered the conversation: Aaron Carter. Aaron, who allegedly first met Diddy at just 9, being linked to allegations that have.
But what this documentary is most deliberate about is silence, not as absence, as a tool. Aaron Carter's fear was not private. His pleas were recorded. He reportedly stated on multiple occasions in plain language that if anything happened to him, he was not suicidal. He reportedly begged for financial backing to fund private security. These weren't whispered behind closed doors. They were said publicly in front of thousands. Platforms amplified them. People watched, engaged, shared, and treated them as content. That shift from cry for help to consumable content is where the moral failure of this entire story lives. The documentary doesn't allow Aaron's final months to stay abstract. People who sat with him in the weeks before he died describe someone in visible, measurable decline. According to one account, he appeared at a podcast recording reportedly consuming lean on camera, slurring through conversation, and discussing with quiet devastation the state's removal of his young child. He had himself noted in a prior interview arriving at rehab at 117 pounds, the same weight, he said, at which Michael Jackson reportedly died. He talked about flipping houses, getting back to music, rebuilding. But the people in the room described someone whose foundation had already been compromised beyond what momentum alone could repair.
You've heard it all. Another layer of darkness gets peeled back. Right. With the way things are unfolding for Diddy, this might just turn into the scandal of the century.
I just want to make everyone happy and just love and do my music. Do you honestly think that that's the death?
You know, I know who Aaron Carter is, but I don't at the same time. I forgot what it was that he actually did. But I believe he came from one of those, was it like a Disney show or something like that? I believe so. Because he has a brother, yeah.
Definition of a meth head and a crackhead, teaching my niece her first dance moves. Making music on my bed.
Was once the golden boy of pop, a wildly talented child star whose meteoric rise to fame was nothing short of 9 years old when he dropped his self-titled debut album, captivating audiences everywhere and securing his spot as one of the biggest child stars to ever of Aaron's career. Several insider sources have suggested that Aaron may have been a victim of.
And here is the detail that carries perhaps the heaviest weight of all. In what is reportedly his final interview, airing just 3 days before he died, Aaron Carter walked back years of public accusations against his brother Nick, reportedly acknowledging he had been repeating someone else's claims without fully understanding whether they were true. Nick reportedly broke down on stage during a Backstreet Boys performance after Aaron's death. Two brothers who both wanted a reconciliation that the timelines simply never allowed. That is not an allegation, that is documented grief. And the documentary asks you to think about what kind of environment produces that kind of ending. Now, here's where the film goes beyond Aaron's individual story and where the industry gets most uncomfortable. It widens the frame. It places Aaron's experience inside a structural argument that for decades the music industry reportedly normalized putting young talent into adult environments where access was prized, output was the measure of value, and protection was secondary. Justin Bieber enters the film, not as a confirmed victim of anything, not as a direct accusation, but as what the documentary describes as a parallel. A young artist who allegedly moved through strikingly similar corridors of influence at a strikingly similar age. The documentary doesn't claim to know what happened in those spaces. It maps proximity, it tracks timelines, and it asks you to decide what it means when the same alleged pattern appears across multiple generations.
It's been 8 months of a lot of turmoil and back and forth, but at this point I think that I've got it under control. I'm doing everything that I need to do, and just focusing on my music, which is I love. It's my passion. If around, I'd be able to purchase houses, flip houses, be a real estate mogul, do touring after all the.
So you're buying and flipping houses, huh?
Yeah.
And I see that this one is
for sale right now.
Is up for this one's up for sale.
Yeah. So Christy Olympus is she's like my big sister. But she's my real estate agent. She got me to my first house, which is only like about a mile away from here.
Yeah.
And then flipped that one from 420 to 620, got $200,000 profit.
And here is the detail that carries perhaps the heaviest weight of all. In what is reportedly his final interview, airing just 3 days before he died, Aaron Carter walked back years of public accusations against his brother Nick, reportedly acknowledging he had been repeating someone else's claims without fully understanding whether they were true. Nick reportedly broke down on stage during a Backstreet Boys performance after Aaron's death. Two brothers who both wanted a reconciliation that the timelines simply never allowed. That is not an allegation, that is documented grief. And the documentary asks you to think about what kind of environment produces that kind of ending. Now, here's where the film goes beyond Aaron's individual story and where the industry gets most uncomfortable. It widens the frame. It places Aaron's experience inside a structural argument that for decades the music industry reportedly normalized putting young talent into adult environments where access was prized, output was the measure of value, and protection was secondary. Justin Bieber enters the film, not as a confirmed victim of anything, not as a direct accusation, but as what the documentary describes as a parallel. A young artist who allegedly moved through strikingly similar corridors of influence at a strikingly similar age. The documentary doesn't claim to know what happened in those spaces. It maps proximity, it tracks timelines, and it asks you to decide what it means when the same alleged pattern appears across multiple generations.
What's going on with that? They look at the They look at the stuff. They look at this right here, bro. First and foremost, all the companies that you have, you understand, and now I know some people have trust and have companies in their kid's name. This man never put anything in his name. Why? It's either his mother, his son, his kid's name and everything like that. He had 18 companies that was giving him some kind of revenue. Why is nothing really in his name? Is there some kind of tax evasion? They looking at that. You understand? You got people in the industry that's been saying for years, this man is having sex with underage. So now the federal government is looking at that like, yo, When is somebody going to come forward? We got this information, this alleged information, but nobody's willing to come forward. Then they go on and say, yo, Shakur Stewart mysteriously dead. Supposed to be a self-inflicted wound. Person that had everything going for them in their life. Kim Porter, dead. Somebody's car gets blown up. This guy is walking around threatening other actors, people. Somebody got to get involved in it. If it ain't the state, let it be the feds. Somebody got to stop him. He lucky that God given him the opportunity to be stopped while he's alive, then have to go to hell and face that shit. He got a chance to repent now, change his life.
You mentioned minors, and a lot of people have been trying to drag Justin Bieber into this situation because there's a lot of suspect looking videos with Diddy and Bieber in it. And, they're making a lot of allegations.
Mm-hmm. Same way they made allegations